Hello and welcome. I am Scrapperlock, and this is City of Heroes. We are with Dark Phantom doing the solo Stalker, and we're level 16. We have about 7,000 XP to go to get to level 17, where we will swap out our dual origin enhancements for the level 20s and maybe add a few. And we are 2.2 million influence, and we're going to get a little bit more influence because we have another orange. So we type AH to get to the auction house, and we drop this in, and we sell it for 250,000, or put it up for 250,000, and we sell it for 412, bringing our total to 2.5 million. I also have just gotten, we've got some more reward merits. 61 total now. Remember, we need 1,200, so we're now 5% of the way to where we need to go to get our ATOs, and that is because I have earned the Paris Park Perfection and the Atlas Tour Guide badges by doing the tips and getting all of the little badges in these areas. I figured, why not get some Explorer badges? I haven't done that in a while. And now we are working on Montague Castanella's story arc about the Lost and Found, and the next thing we're going to be doing is talking to our buddy Azoria, who is over in Magi, the magical government organization for magic-originated superheroes with a magic origin. And so we'll head to Alice Park and talk to her. And then we'll continue this arc. We should finish this story arc probably in this episode. I think there are only like a couple more parts to it. That somebody's force field, that looks really cool. So Magi stands for Modern Arcane Guild of Investigation. And we talk to Azuria. And then we're going to talk to Montague. And then Montague is going to tell us to use the magic wand, which is here, to cure the Lost. Now this is interesting because I could have sworn I remembered having to assemble the wand, but maybe that was on Rebirth, and maybe they changed it here. Don't know. I feel like I got the parts and had to go and assemble it. But we're going to go find the Lost. We will go to the Lost in, I guess, King's Row, since they're pretty easy to find along Industrial Avenue. If we can't find them there, we can just hop over to Skyway City and go into the Land of the Lost there. Yeah, let's do the Land of the... Well, we're level 16. Yeah, we should be alright. Let's do the Land of the Lost. Some of them might be red and purple to us, but we have the wand, and the wand can automatically heal them, so... or turn them into not being lost, basically. So we're in the Land of the Lost here. Which, by the way, had really cool music to it. Yeah, these guys are all purples. But, we do this, it immediately turns them into a non-lost. There's some more lost. Now he's going to shoot me, but that's okay because I'll just still... It doesn't even take me off being hidden, which is weird, although he was able to aggro to me. Some more lost. Okay, so these guys might do a little damage to me while we're healing them, but we should be alright. Are they... No, they're not attacking me, they're attacking their former selves. Not cool, guys. Not cool. Yeah, I don't think they can see me. Right, so they see the other guy and they aggro to it, like their human self. How many more do we need? We need 12 more. Well, here's some more guys. Leave him alone. There's some more lost. Boop. Leave him alone. Not bad, guys. Not bad at all. Trolls we don't need, but here's some more lost. So again, if there are particular story arcs that you guys want to see me do, feel free to post that, and I will take it under advisement. I do have certain arcs that I like to do, so I'm not going to, for instance, skip the Wheel of Destruction or the Scroll of Teleku to do something else. But if there's stuff you want me to do, Magic Man is a pretty cool story arc. We could do that one. There's also the Dirge of Chaos or whatever it is, the one with the magical tape and the radio station. That is Mercedes Sheldon, I think her name is. She's in the Midnighter Club, so we will meet her as soon as we finish this storyline. 2 lost to go. Here we are. You're the last 2, guys. Lost Cure. We don't need that anymore. We earned a badge, the Lost Savior badge. And now he wants us to do the epilogue, which is to say, Pacem Bellum. What is that? If you want peace, prepare for war? I think that's what that means. If you say the whole phrase. I think so. So we're going to go to Steel Canyon South, which is where the university is, and the Midnighters are on the university campus. So off we go. So what, a bunch of City of Heroes content is now popping up in my YouTube feed, which I don't mind at all, and I've watched a little bit of it. One of the things I noticed is that there are like build guides and stuff like that, and one of them was like, here's a farming guide. Did they move Mercedes Sheldon? Didn't she used to stay right here? Why did they move her? Where is she? Um, I always find it interesting to see guides like that, just because I like it's just such an alien way of playing for me. So yeah, so if you ever need to get to Cimarora, that's a level 50 zone or high level zone, you can go that way. We're going back to Steel Canyon. Yeah, it's just such an alien way to play for me to, like, I just don't do farming and that kind of stuff. I entered the Midnighter Club. Oh, I gotta talk to this guy. And we got a reward merit, so we got 13. We now have 74. And we're going to call up our buddy. And we got some XP. And we're halfway to level 17. Yeah, I just never paid a lot of attention to build guides and that sort of thing. Um, I always I always like doing things on my own. I know there are probably more efficient ways to do things in all sorts of role-playing games, not just this one, but I always just preferred doing them myself. Comment about that, guys. Or like, how many of you have how many of you have routinely followed build guides, and how many of you sort of reject them and prefer to be doing things that are just your own style, your own feel for the game. You don't care whether it's um, so like the most efficient way to do things, or do you really care if it's the most efficient way to do things? Like my best friend, man, he will just devour the build guides and get the like if there's some sort of an app where you can min max your character, he will put his character into it and just crank it through so that it is the most efficient, ultra maxed out character. Um, I think he really liked the Pathfinder video games, Kingmaker and Wrath of the Righteous or whatever. And one of the reasons is you kind of have to do that. In Pathfinder I didn't. I played the first one, Kingmaker. There were lots of things I didn't like about it, but the main thing I didn't like was I was just sort of doing what I wanted with the characters, just kind of roleplay wise. And I was getting into battles at like by 7th or 8th level, or I was just getting my butt kicked. And I kind of went on the forum and I was asking questions in Steam, the Steam discussions, and somebody was like, "Oh no, you have to like max out. You have to min max your character a lot in Pathfinder, or you're just going to be behind the curve." We've talked about the curve here, right? This character is behind the curve right now because we don't have our enhancements and we don't have damage enhancers in here, so we're a little bit behind the curve. Oh, we got an accuracy SO. Well, let's put that on there for now. We'll switch it to a DO at level 17, but for now we'll take it. It's giving us plus 33%. So yeah, the we're a little behind the curve here. I know that, and I know how not to be behind the curve, and I'm making decisions based on how I want to play the game. I'd rather hit more times than miss, and when I hit, do more damage. I think it's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, right? I'm either going to have to hit 4 times or hit 3 times and miss once. And I'd rather hit 4 times than miss a quarter of the time, right? But it does do things to your endurance and so on and so forth, and it just means we're not going to run this toggle, and we're going to be careful about how many toggles we run below level 20 and so forth. So I know what I'm doing in this game. I have a feel for it, but in Pathfinder I didn't. All right, so I'm going to pause it here, and I'm going to look up who gives us the next story arc. Oh, wait, no, I don't have to do that. We don't have to pause at all. We're going to go to Fault Line. And we're going to go talk to Jim Tembler. So let's just go down to Blythe Square and we'll grab the base portal and we'll head to Fault Line that way. We could use this little thing to teleport, but that's on a long recharge, so in case we need that later, let's just head into the base. Lots of players in here tonight. So there was a whole bunch of people in Atlas Park. We want to go to Fault Line. I keep forgetting it's not. I don't think that counts as a hazard zone anymore, right? Or does it? I guess it does. Yep. Okay. Let's go to Jim Tembler. He's by the just past the donut shop, and we'll do the Fault Line storyline. So I think the first 2 we can do at this level, and then the next 1 or 2 is over 20th level. Where's Jim? There he is. Did I click on this already? Let's just do it. Okay, Jim Tembler. Available missions, and we got to go help his friend Fusionette. I don't know why. Maybe because I like the name. Maybe because I think she's cute looking. Her costume's really cute. I like her costume. Whatever. I'm a big fan of Fusionette. Even though she's a dumb blaster who just over aggroes all the time like crazy, I just really like her. She's cute. Let's see. What's the time on this? We're 15 minutes in, so we got a lot of time. So yeah. Back to what I was saying with builds and stuff. Go ahead and post, like, just in the comments, let me know. Are you somebody who likes build guides and wants to max out your character and follows the build guides? Are you somebody who just does what you want? I actually kind of like figuring a game out myself. I get frustrated with games that kind of feel like they require me to read and learn a bunch of stuff online. I don't mind reading a rule book, you know, like the game manual, but I feel like if I can't figure out a game, if I'm not expected to be able to figure out a game myself, and I'm expected to have to like watch how-to videos on YouTube just to get through a game, I feel like I'm not that happy with that. I like to be able to figure stuff out myself. But you know, some people like doing the build, like reading the build guides and stuff like that. One of the games I've been trying to play recently and gotten very frustrated with actually is Europa Universalis 5. I played EU4. Now EU5 is very different from EU4, and I'm okay with that. But one of the things that I really don't like about all of the Paradox games, whether it's Crusader Kings or EU4 or 5 or whatever, is that a lot of times, like when you're early on in the game and they're doing tutorial stuff with you, the tutorial actually tells you to do stuff that's stupid and you really shouldn't do, and an experienced player wouldn't do. Right? And it'll even tell you shouldn't have done it. Right? So in EU5, I think it does this in EU4 too, but it definitely does in EU5. It told me at least what I was doing, my attempted playthrough the last couple times I did it, before just giving up for a while and switching to this game and Crusader Kings 3, which I had played before a lot more extensively. It says, oh, you don't have enough rivals, because it wants you to rival your like another country. You get like diplomatic prestige for having a rival. And so it says, you don't have enough rivals, you should rival somebody. So I rivaled somebody, right? And then it says, warning, you have too many diplomatic relationships, because a rivalry is counted as a relationship. You don't have enough diplomacy to do this. You might want to remove one of your relationships. Like, dude, you just told me, get yourself a new relationship. Why did the game tell me that if I wasn't supposed to do that? Right? And that irritates me when tutorials do that. Right? So it'd be like, imagine if City of Heroes gives you the tutorial to do the... Is this guy dead? Yeah, okay. It gives you the tutorial to do the inventions, right? Or better yet, it gives me this, right? And then if I slot it in, it says, error, you shouldn't slot in a single origin enhancement for whatever reason. Right? Like, what'd you give it to me for? And that kind of thing definitely irritates me. But I've definitely been frustrated that I feel like with EU5, I try to just play it and use the on-screen help and so on and so forth, and I really couldn't. And I had to actually go and watch some videos of people who've been playing it through the early access and beta and stuff to see what the heck does this stuff mean and what's the actual right decision to make here. Because one of the things I found was that both with EU and with Crusader Kings, with a lot of the Paradox games, you can get yourself into a position where you just have to stop the playthrough because you're in a death spiral, right? You're in a tailspin that you can't get out of, and you've hosed yourself. So, for example, one of the things that I tried to do was start colonies very early, and I didn't realize that I didn't have something I needed. And so the game let me start colonizing, but it was an infinite time to colonize because I was missing some resource or something. I'm like, what'd you let me start colonizing for. It wasn't clear to me that you needed a resource like that. I can't remember what it was, and I find that kind of thing really frustrating. And um, so, in a case like that, I will use tutorials or whatever because I don't want to waste my time. But I really prefer to just get into a game. I don't mind reading a game manual. They don't make them anymore, but when they had manuals, City of Heroes had a really extensive, good manual when it came out. It explained everything. I'm fine reading the manual, but if I can't learn the game properly from just reading the manual and playing the game's tutorials, and you need to actually watch hours of videos to understand how to play the game, that I don't find that's not for me. Then I end up coming back to something like City of Heroes. In Crusader Kings 3, I watched a few Let's Plays, but only because I was watching people play mods and stuff to see if I liked the mod. Right? Crusader Kings 3 itself, I have no trouble understanding how to play. Now, there are some things in it that I'm not sure about, and sometimes these things happen that I don't know if they might be buggy, but in general, I didn't have any trouble figuring out how to play it. Certainly not as much trouble as I had with EU5. Like how to play, like what to click on, yeah, I understand that. But it's more what decisions should you make. Another example, for instance, in EU5, it tells you right away you should build roads because roads increase control. And I was watching this other guy play a similar. I was playing a Native American country. They're very low tech and everything to begin with, and actually somebody recommended doing that because then you don't have that much to worry about, and you can't even tax anybody yet at the beginning because you don't have taxation as a tech yet. And so it's all very simple, and you only can do a few things each turn or whatever, and so that makes it simpler. So but one of the things it tells you right at the beginning, they give you these missions, and one of the early missions is build roads. So I started building a couple roads. And after I finished those, I started building more roads, right? And I was watching somebody else play Cahokia, which is another Native American country, not the one I was playing. And I just wanted to see how he did it because I got to a point where I was like, okay, this game is lost. I have like I can't make any money. I can't do anything. It's going to take me 40 years to build the next road. Like this is a waste, right? And so I was watching him play, and he said, he was like 30, 40, 50 years into the game, and he said, we're not going to build roads yet. You don't build roads until you have a good economy because the roads multiply your economy, but if your economy isn't good, there's no point, right? That's not what the mission told me to do, right? And so I found I had to do that with Europa Universalis 5, but I didn't have to do it with Crusader Kings. Oh, and I forgot to put that on. I really should have. Come on, wake up. So yeah, I prefer games where I can just dive in and play. Now, the reality is that with City of Heroes, I didn't actually know the numbers until I read the forums. But in the rulebook, because originally the developers when they started the game did not want the numbers to be exposed to the players, right? They just wanted us to sort of play qualitatively. But what they said in the game book was that dual origins are better than trainers and single origins are better than dual origins. And they might have said they're twice as good, you know. And they were like, that's all you need to know. But eventually people tested it and figured out that dual origins were a certain percentage and single origins were a certain percentage. And yeah, eventually the numbers became exposed and you had to read the forums for that. But I didn't really need the forum to build the character. And by the way, what the forums recommended isn't what I do anyway, so I just kind of did it the way I wanted, right? Everybody in those days, everybody was doing perma-haze, perma-elude on a super reflex scrapper. I never did it. I always used, and they didn't take toggles. I always used all the toggles, and I used elude as my panic power, my oh crap power, as my supergroup leader Nina used to say. Okay. I do want to point out what I did here. I didn't mention it as we were going because I was talking about um, games and learning the game from playing it versus having to read the forums and stuff. But I cheesed this mission, right? I did everything and then freed Fusionette so that she couldn't do the whole, blaster aggro everybody around you kind of um, kind of nonsense. I like Fusionette, but I don't really need to have her aggro everything. All right, so we're going to go back to Jim. He'll probably be happy that we saved his girlfriend. I think she's his girlfriend, not just his friend. That's the implication of the relationship they have and how much they sort of sacrifice for each other and stuff. All right, so now we're going to learn rumblings of the past. So I'm not going to read all of this storyline out. Jim Tembler is the son of Faultline, who is the former hero turned villain who broke Overbrook here and almost destroyed the city. And so he's trying to get the tape of. He was a little kid and he wants to get the tape of um, his father's fall from herodom to villaindom and that sort of thing. And so he wants the tape so he can see what happened for himself, right? And eventually we're going to find that tape, but not right here, I don't think. Hey, Losties. Oh, I forgot to switch to combat jump. If you notice me, like, if I leave super jump on and switch to combat jump or vice versa, and they're both cycling, and you notice me start to play around with them, turning them on and off, as I showed in an earlier video, that's because what I don't like is when you have them both running, right? If I then turn combat jump off, the super jump special effect vanishes. And the same thing here, if I turn combat jump on and turn super jump off, the special effect vanishes. And I don't like that. I want the special effect on, so I will play with it to get the special effect to look the way it's supposed to look, because I like the special effect. Oh wait, zoom in, zoom in, zoom in. There we go. It is very nice having a character who can just wander around and not draw aggro until I'm ready. You will see with Shadow Punch now that we mostly have almost a closed attack chain. We sometimes have to use Nemesis Staff. We really don't need Trank Dart anymore, so we're going to get that off the tray. And we rarely have to resort to Brawl. So yeah, guys, let me know in the comments, like, are there games, does it depend on the game, for instance? Are there some games where you regularly want to use either the forums or the internet somehow to figure out the right way to build or approach the game, and then are there other games where you don't do that? Does it depend on the game? Do you always check the forums and websites to see what the recommended builds and stuff are? Recommended strategies, tactics, whatever it happens to be. Do you never do that? Okay, we're going to have the same situation here where we're going to go through, but Curse is also going to be around. He's here, so that's Arbiter Sands. So we're going to have to free both of them and then go after Curse. So what I want to do is clear everything out but their guards and Curse. I don't think we want to take Curse on by ourselves. It's not really meant, you're not really meant to do that because they do give you 2 NPCs. So if you try to take them on yourself, it's actually quite hard. We could probably do it if I have, well, I do pretty much have the right inspirations other than endurance right now. I'd probably want 1 more luck. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna stalk this mission. All right. So to me, stalking a mission is you clear it all out except for the important NPCs and bosses, and then you just hit them. It takes a little longer, but to me, I like the increased control. Oh, we've leveled up. We could probably solo curse now. No problem. I don't know if I don't know if I'm going to try it. I have actually all the inspirations I would want. Triple Lux. We could easily take Curse under the level up buffs. I could stalk to him right now and take him out. Should we do it? Should we try it? Let's try it. I don't know if I can get to him fast enough. Because the level up buffs aren't going to last that much longer. He's here. Let's try it. Let's just frickin' try it. Ready? Oh yeah, we should have no problem with him. He's not going to hit me. And he can't mez me. Yeah, we got him, guys. Soloed him, no problem. Now that's the level up buffs, of course. It'd be a lot harder without that. Where are you guys going? Where's the other guy? Did he go downstairs? There he is. Get over here. Dummy. Alright, so we defeated Curse. So we should be able to just go free the other two. Now, we probably could have beat Curse with the inspirations we had since he was -1 to us. And maybe even if he was, probably even if he was +1 to us, it would have been a tough fight. But with 3 Lux, we could have done it. We are proof against his Mez attack. So we probably would have been okay. We don't need those. But you're meant to have the allies with you when you take Curse down. So you can see we still, every once in a while, need to throw that Nemesis staff in. So I don't know that we need to defeat everybody else. I don't know if there is anybody else. Let's go back and free Fusionet and Arbiter Sands. Should be easy peasy now. As long as I leave my Mez defense on against those aberrant rectors or whatever they are. Is there anybody over here? Nope. So this whole level was just for Curse. Down we go. So this is what I call stalking a mission, right? We basically made it so that there's no chance Fusionet's going to get her butt kicked. We can free him now, I guess. Oh, come on. What did I roll? A 95.63? That is just the game giving you the middle finger. That is just the game spiting you. Try knocking him down. Alright, that takes him out. Finding some enhancements. Not good ones, though. Alright, we don't care about Sands. I don't know if he's even going to follow me because of the... I guess he is, because of the stealth. I'm going to let him fight that guy, and I'm going to come over here and fight this guy. Stop it. He got sands, look at that. And that's mission complete. And that's how you stalk a mission with NPCs in it and remove the risk to the NPCs. Found a recipe. And now we've got to fight Nocturne. Okay, so we do need the right inspirations for this. Nocturne's pretty tough. Did this again. Stop it. Okay. But we're level... Wait a minute, we're level 17, guys. Hang on. Let's go to Flat Mirror Spirit and get leveled up and get our DOs. Hey, Mirror. Next level. What are we going to get? We don't need anything in there. I think we're going to... Let's finish Assassin's Eclipse. I don't normally do that, but yeah, that's our signature power. Let's go ahead and finish it. I normally do more even slotting than this, but I mean, like, it's okay. You can do it this way. It's no problem. So now we're going to come in here. So now what we can do... Now, okay, so let's sell this. The right thing to do here... The right thing to do here is to hit upgrade and let it upgrade this single origin enhancement to level 20, right? But realistically, we're not supposed to have an SO on here, so I could just rip it out. On the other hand, it doesn't hurt anything to have it. So what you do is, we want to keep I'm going to keep these the way they are, and then we're going to put 3 damages in here. So what we're going to do is we're going to hit upgrade. It's going to cost 126,000 influence to upgrade our current enhancement set to level 20s. We say, do it. And now they're all level 20. This is now giving us plus 38% to hit. And these guys are also giving plus 38 because remember they're half. 19.2 times 2 is 38.4, which is just about what this is, right? So now what we're going to do is we're going to buy... let's just buy triple damage enhancers from this guy. So that's just these 3. 1, 2, 3. And now we're going to make Assassin's Eclipse do 57% more damage. So on a full assassination, we're going to be doing 177 damage, which is pretty darn good. And with build up, almost doubling it, so 80% of that would be 136 more, would be like 300 damage, guys. 300 damage. That is what we're going to do. Wait. That is what we're going to do to Nocturne. Right? We're probably going to do more than that because I'm going to pop a couple of these, and we're probably going to end up doing like 350 damage to her in one shot. Now, she'll probably have 1,000 hit points, but that is going to be pretty darn good. Let's get 3 Lux against her. And I guess we need an accuracy, and then we'll get 1 catch of breath. And we're going to run with this, and we're going to try not to use any inspirations in the battle and in the mission. And I mean, look, we could stalk this mission too, right? If we wanted to, we could just stalk to Nocturne and take her out. I don't really like doing that, and I am going to play the whole mission. I mean, we're in this for the story arc, so let's play the mission. We could stalk Nocturne to Nocturne and then go back and clean up the other bad guys and work our way back out that way, but I don't think we're going to do that. Let's just let's just do the mission correctly. But if you want, so here's the advantage of stalking the mission, right? If we stalk this mission, we have this tray of inspirations. We can use it against Nocturne, and then it doesn't matter if we use other inspirations as we get them against the other enemies, right? So that is one of the advantages of stalking a mission, as I call it. All right, so we're level 17. This is the last time we're going to buy DOs. The rest of the time, we're going to be buying single origin enhancers. So we will not upgrade at level 22. When we get to level 25 stuff, right, we will simply replace everything but this one, which is going to stay here for a while, with single origins. Okay. Oh, wait, let me make sure we're zoomed in here. Hang on, stand up here so I can see your feet, because we'll put your feet right at the bottom of the screen. There we go. Guys, please also leave a comment if you haven't already as to whether this is a level of zoom that's more comfortable for people than the way I normally do it, zoomed out. I'm happy to keep doing it if it's helping people. If it's making it worse, definitely tell me and I'll cut it out. But I will say I have not... So I've only posted, I think, 5 episodes so far. So if you've made those comments on a later episode, but I haven't seen it yet, I do apologize. But the problem is I'm only posting once a day or so. And I actually made a particular video where I was mentioning New Year's and stuff. It was before New Year's when I made it. But based on when I'm posting, I said, you know, if I just wait, and if I just post every other day instead of every day, I can make that my New Year's Eve post. So I decided to do that. So this video is probably going to be out in early January, like January 5th or 6th, 7th, something like that. But I'm recording it on the 22nd of December. So if you've made a comment about things between, say, New Year's and today, I won't have seen it. So please just recognize that... Oh, this is a boss. I thought this was Lieutenant. We're fine. Just recognize that I will be a little slow in terms of responding to things because I've already recorded a bunch of the episodes. Somebody, for instance, asked, how do you do enhancements? I have recorded a couple episodes ago that, but I answered him in the comments and then said, look for episode 10 or 11 or something because that's where I'm going to answer you. I don't answer immediately, mostly because I'm just playing more than I'm posting, right? That is, I don't post more than once a day, but I play more than once a day. I played this morning, and now it's 10:15 at night, and I probably should be getting ready for bed. But it's a holiday, and I can stay up a little late, so we're going to do that. Assassin Strike. Does it... Where's the damage? Here. 159 points of negative damage. Right? But then when we do the build-up, it's going to be a lot more than that. So let's see how much we do with build-up. $240 damage. So why is it in 300? I guess because not every part of the Assassin Strike gets affected by the buildup. It only does the base. So my guess is the buildup only. So let's take a look. Right, you see how it says it does about 100 damage, right? 68 smashing and 30 energy. So this is about 100 damage, right? But then you do this if hidden, right? So what it's doing is it's only... So you do like 176 damage if you're hidden rather than 100, but this is your base damage, and that's all that gets increased by the build-up. So it adds 80 points, 256. That's about right. right? And then the Night Widow resisted some of it. So if we look at the Muse Stalker, 220 points, right? So it's going to be doing different amounts of damage based on. Well, we did 93, we did 38, and then we did 220. So I guess that's the total. So we are doing over 300 damage. That's pretty awesome. How many hit points did he have? Oh, it's too late. He faded. Yeah, so we're going to be doing a lot of damage to enemies now that we have the damage enhancers on this power. Right, so how many hit points do these guys have? The minions have only 160, so we definitely don't even need build up on them. Because you can one-shot a +1, no problem. How did I aggro him? Our endurance is going to take a hit because these guys kill your endurance. Their damage hurts your endurance. I don't know if it says it in there, but I'm pretty sure it does. Does it say what the Muse Striker? Yep, draining my endurance. Oops, didn't mean to do that. Hang on. There we go. Okay, so let's take an E, because we don't want to use inspirations right now since we have exactly the ones we want to use to fight Nocturne. Heard a machine gun. There it is. Ugh, missed him. Put that away. Alright. Well, he didn't interrupt me, so we got to assassinate him. So, this is Arachnos. That's a faction I actually don't like fighting. I'm not a fan of their... I don't like their visuals. I don't like their special effects. I don't really like their costumes. It looks too Spider-Man-y. Or Venom, you know. I don't know. Just not a fan of spider stuff. Never really was a huge fan of Spider-Man himself. Sorry, just wasn't. I mean, he's okay, but spider stuff doesn't do anything for me in terms of superheroes. Like, this doesn't really do anything for me. So, I'm not a huge fan of this faction. What factions do you love, and what factions do you hate? I love the Lost and the Rikti. I think they're really cool factions. They definitely have some annoyances. I don't like Rikti drones, but I think they're a really cool faction. I think the Malta, as much as I hate sappers, are a pretty cool faction. Carnies are a great faction. Despite the endurance drain, which does annoy people, I do like them. And we should be okay against them with the endurance drain because, well, if we have psionic defense, we'll be okay. My super reflex scrapper is okay because it was an AOE drain and she had AOE defense, right? So it was harder for people to hit her with AOEs. What other factions do you guys like? What factions do you guys hate? What do you not like? I do not like the Tsu at all because I hate the sorcerers. I actually think the Tsu are a kind of a cool faction just because they're like kung fu faction, but oh my gosh, I hate the sorcerers and the ancestor spirits. The ancestor spirits because they always fly away right before you defeat them, and they're just sort of annoying. I don't like runners, but the sorcerers are just horrible. Teleport out, teleport in, teleport out, teleport in. I have lots of bad memories of them. Family. I feel like family. Like I like the idea of the mafia. You know, but there should be a mafia in every superhero game, but um, not a huge fan of the family because they're boring. They just shoot guns at people. You know, they just have Tommy guns basically. Kind of boring. Um, so I'm not a huge fan of them as a faction. Um, I love the Banished Pantheon. The Banished Pantheon are my favorite faction in the game. I think they're very cool. Plus, they have my two favorite story arcs, Wheel of Destruction and Scroll of Tialeku. Even for all the bugginess of Wheel of Destruction, I still really like it. And their bosses, the walking totems, are the coolest things in the game, and one of them has the coolest name of any monster I've ever seen in a role-playing game, called That Which Seeks. I just think that is such a cool name. That Which Seeks. It almost sounds Lovecraftian. I just love it. I think at some point I'm going to have to, in a role-playing game, make some kind of a monster or a demon or something called That Which Seeks. I guess I could do it in my Deadlands game, but what I really would like to do when my Deadlands game finishes, if nobody else wants to run anything, I would love to run an East Texas University or just a Lovecraftian generalized horror campaign. And if I did that, I think I probably would make up some kind of a Lovecraftian horror that I called That Which Seeks. I don't know what it would do. I don't know what it's seeking. I don't know what the thing is seeking when you find it in the mission against the Banished Pantheon. I don't remember what it's seeking. I don't know if you know what it's seeking, just that it is. But I love the idea of... I love that name. And just the totem was so cool. I remember the very first time I ever saw it, I was like, oh my gosh, that thing looks so awesome. Alright, so here's Nocturne. Let's take a look at her hit points. She has 1,000 hit points. I think I guessed that, didn't I? So the Assassin Strike is going to take her down to like 600, but it's not going to knock her out in one shot. She's a +0 red elite boss. We're level 17. We're a little weak for this, right? Because we don't have SOs on our powers. And we don't have anything slotted in. I really should have put something in Smite, but it's fine. We don't really have anything in this slot, and, you know, we're a little weak for this. But we should be able to do it with our inspirations. We get to start the fight on our own terms. She can't see through hide, can she? If she could, we'd be dead. So here we go. Build up, assassinate. We better hit, or I'm going to be annoyed. Alright, so we took 1/3 of her hit points down. That's not bad, right? That starts us with a big lead in the battle. Because normally, you have to sit there and fight her for 30 or 40 seconds to get her hit points down like that. Look at that! Kicked her butt! How did I do that much damage to her? I thought she still had about... I had to watch the video. I thought she still had about 100, 200 hit points left when she suddenly went down. And now we have to damage the sub here. This is a pain in the neck, but that's fine. Oh, you know what I didn't think of? If I go under hide, can I assassinate the sub? Just do it faster? I don't know. I guess I can. That's awesome. I assassinated the sub. I sneak attacked it. It didn't know I was there. That's just ridiculous. You shouldn't be able to assassinate the sub. And it's funny, but you shouldn't be able to assassinate the sub. Okay. That takes care of Jim Templar's story arc. Oh, I'm sorry if you guys hear a little bit of sound. That's my alarm saying that it's 10:30 at night, trying to remind me to go to bed. I never listen. I always turn it off and then just keep doing stuff for another hour, which I shouldn't. Okay, Jim. Thanks for the mission. We didn't get any rewards for it, did we? We got dual origin. So let me go back here because I did forget and get an endurance reducer to put on Smite. Okay. So we're in good shape. Oh, we should sell, right? Sell stuff. We still have about 2.5 million influence, so we're a little lower than 2.5 mil because we bought a set of DOs for 100,000, but that's okay. We are all set, guys. I think this was a pretty productive episode. We got to level 17. We're almost level 18. We're going to do Penelope Yin's story arc next. That'll get us to level 18, and we'll probably take Placate at that point, or no, maybe we'll take this auto power, kinetic dampening. That'll give us a little bit of resistance. I'd actually rather have more defense on this. Well, a lot of people don't like, what do you want to call it, one-note defenses. They want to have some heal, some resistance, and some defense. I've actually found that to be less effective than the it's sort of jack of all trades. I have found that I prefer the one note defenses. So I really liked old school regen where all they had was healing, 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 healing themselves. Right, dull pain, reconstruction, instant healing. They had almost no resistance. They had almost no defense. And then Moment of Glory was the one where they got a bunch of resistance and defense, right? But other than that, that was just their panic power. Um, you couldn't mez them. They had tons of endurance, right? They had quick endurance recovery, quick health recovery, and just regular regen, and then heal, dull pain, and instant healing. And pretty much all it did was heal. It didn't dodge, it didn't resist. Super reflexes. All it does is dodge. It doesn't resist and it doesn't heal. And I've found those, and I can't remember which one is all resistance that I played. I can't remember now. But I find those defenses are actually more effective, at least the way I play, than something like willpower, which is sort of a jack of all trades. It gives you some defense, some resistance, and some healing, but not really enough of any of them. And I actually found with my willpower brute that I had a much harder time with her than with a reflex scrapper, and or a reflex or a regen scrapper or stalker, right? So that's just me. I personally prefer um, a defense that really stacks up one type. So I would much rather if this power, instead of being a little bit of resistance to all, was an auto that was a little bit of defense to all and would just bump these numbers by 5 or 7%, kind of like the way super reflexes passives do. But anyway, we'll take what we can get. I think it'll be nice to have a little bit of resistance. My problem with these things that give you just a little. Let's go and actually look at. Can we look at what it's going to do? I guess we can't. I think it's only like 8% or something. Or the problem with it is that when you enhance it, it's only going to go up to like 12%. It's never going to be 20 or 30% is significant, right? So yeah, 100 hit points hit you and you'll drop it to 90. But I'd rather just have more dodge and then 0 hits me, right? Yeah, when it hits, it'll all hit. But dropping it from 100 to 90 damage isn't going to really help me that much. But adding plus 10% to all these defenses would help me a lot. So I don't know. That's just my opinion. But anyway, that's fine. So we'll probably maybe we'll take the auto power at level 18. I really don't like not having power shield, but I also need placate. So maybe what we'll do, this isn't really because it's resistance. Because it's resistance, and I don't care that much about it. I think I might go placate power shield, even though I hate doing that and not taking my secondaries. think I might go Placate, Power Shield, then Kinetic Dampening, and then at level 26 we'll get Siphon Life, because we've got to put slots on these existing melee powers anyway, and we now mostly have a closed attack chain. And then figure 28 for, what is Disrupt here? PBOE Foe Disorient. Maybe? That seems like another attack. I'd rather get Siphon. I'd rather get Touch of Fear. Well, maybe this is worth it since it's an AoE. Well, I'll have to just see how things play. I mean, I'm much more interested in Energy Drain than in Disrupt, so if they're both available, I might take Energy Drain instead by the time I'm ready to take one. So we're just gonna have to see. We'll think about it. So I guess Placate is next, and then Power Shield. Or actually Placate, then Kinetic Dampening, right? So this is 18, 20, 22. There's no point in taking Power Shield before SOs because I won't be able to run it. And then we'll have our defenses pretty solidly in. And then 24 we'll get maybe Siphon Life. 26 Disrupt or Energy Drain. Midnight Grasp will come in at probably 30 or 2. I'm not sure when it'll unlock, but there probably won't be any point to taking it before 32 because we won't have enough slots to slot it anyway. So you can take it at 32 and at 33 add 3 slots to it. I think that makes the most sense. And then Overload and Energize will come in at level 30, probably 35 and 38. But we'll see. Until next time, guys, I am Scrapper, and this has been Soling the Stalker on City of Heroes.